If you've never heard of the classic crumpet before, you're in for a treat. It's easy to make and it's delicious. So to make crumpets is really straightforward. It's a nice simple batter. So first you want to warm up 330 grams of whole milk to 35 degrees Celsius, then sprinkle in 7 grams of fast active yeast along with a teaspoon of honey. If you don't want to use honey, you can use caster sugar instead. Mix it together until well incorporated, then cover the top with some cling film and then set that to one side for about 5 to 10 minutes to activate the yeast. You want it nice and frosty on the surface and bubbly. In the meantime, we're going to prepare the dry ingredients. So in a large bowl, combine together 225 grams of flour along with 7 grams of salt and just give it a whisk together to make sure the salt and the flour evenly distributed throughout. Now by now the yeast should be nice and active. As you can see, it's nice and bubbly on the surface, it's frothy, that's what you're looking for. Pour it into the dry ingredients and whisk it until smooth. Once you get it nice and smooth, stop whisking, don't overmix it. Now you're going to cover that with some cling film or a damp tea towel and leave it in a warm area of your house and leave it to prove for about 45 minutes or until double in size. So now while we're waiting for the batter to prove, we might as well get ahead. So we're going to lightly grease our rings with some softened butter. Make sure the butter is nice and soft and spreadable so that it coats the ring nice and evenly. Or if you don't want to use butter, you can use oil instead. It's totally up to you. It doesn't matter too much. As long as you grease them, that's the main thing, because you don't want them crumpets sticking to the ring. That'll be a disaster. So now guys, 45 minutes later, the batter has doubled in size. It's created a lot of bubbles, as you can see. It's full of air. That's perfect. That's exactly what we're looking for to create all those nooks and crannies in the crumpet. Now you want to lightly grease a large non-stick frying pan with a little bit of olive oil and get some kitchen roll to rub it around the pan to make sure it's nice and evenly coated. Now place your pan over medium-high heat, then add your rings to the pan. And before you start cooking the crumpets, you want the pan and the rings to be nice and hot. The way to know when the pan is up to heat is that the oil will start to sizzle. And when the pan is up to heat, fill your rings up just about halfway, as the batter will rise a bit during the cooking process. But be gentle when you're ladling the batter into the rings. You don't want to be too aggressive, you don't want to knock all the air out, because that's going to make the crumpets rise during the cooking process and create all them bubbles on the surface. You do not want to add too much batter into your rings, because then it will overflow once it's cooked, and that'll be a disaster. Once you fill the rings up, turn the heat down to medium-low and cook for about 10 to 15 minutes. You want to slowly cook the crumpets. That's what's going to make for a nice crumpet. But during the cooking process, I like to rotate the rings so that they all cook nice and evenly. The way to know when you're ready to move the rings is that the top of the crumpet will be nice and dry and all the bubbles would have popped. Once you remove the ring, flip them over and cook for an extra 2 to 3 minutes on the other side to get a nice golden brown colour. The best way to know if they're cooked is get a cocktail stick and stick it into the center of the crumpet, and if it comes out clean, the crumpet's going to be cooked. But if you're still a bit unsure, just pre oven to 130 degrees Celsius, fan oven that is, and pop them in for about 5 to 8 minutes, and that should finish them off just perfectly. And there you have it, you made crumpets. The best way to serve a crumpet, in my opinion, is let it cool, then toast it in the toaster, then serve it with some butter and jam. Delicious. You can't beat it. Nothing better than that. And the great thing about crumpet is that you can have it for breakfast, you can have it for brunch, or you can just have it for a snack. It's pretty versatile. Alright guys, that is it. That's how you make homemade crumpets from scratch. Obviously there's a lot of different variations of the crumpet these days. You can get so many different recipes on the internet, but that's my take on it. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy and you learned something, please like and subscribe. If there's anything you want me to make on this channel, just pop it down below in the comments. I'll have a look and I'll try and make it happen. But for now, I'll see you guys next week. See ya.